What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us today, Saturday, March 26th, 2016.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
All right, everybody, what's up? Thanks for joining us on a special day and a special time. March Madness going on. Cavs are gearing up for a title run. Yes, they still have the best record in the whole Eastern Conference. They might not be playing up to everybody's expectations, but guess what? They're a legitimate title contender. It's a good time. It's time to stay excited. And the Cleveland Browns decided they're going to sign RG3, Robert Griffin III, cut from the Washington Redskins. Yes, ESPN, I'm going to call them the Washington Redskins. I also root for the Cleveland Indians. Deal with it. Anyhow, check out the homepage of thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side is our Facebook feed, our Twitter feed, and the link to TNAM Radio, where you click play to listen live to this show. And if you link up with us, you'll get the alerts if you set for notifications, and you will know when we're live, when we're doing a show. We want you to participate. Click play, listen live, and just make sure you subscribe. YouTube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Let's go to Zak Baris, former NBA scout, current NBA consultant, lifelong Cleveland sports fan, and talk some sports. We'll probably chop today's episode into a couple different pieces. 3 different topics. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Living the dream. How you doing, Zach?
I'm living the dream, too.
Yeah, where you at? You back in Seatown?
I'm back in Seatown.
Tell me, what's it like this time of year, late March in Seatown?
Right now, 60s and 70s all week, and then yesterday went all of a sudden into like the low 40s. Today's in the 50s, and tomorrow's back in the 70s. So it's been nice and warm all winter.
Nice.
No complaints this winter, really. It's barely snowed.
Interesting. Yeah, I tell people all the time, if they haven't been to Cleveland lately, they need to come take a look. And you know what? Cleveland gets to show off for the 2016 RNC. The convention's being held.
You coming to town for that?
We'll talk. We'll talk.
It's going to be a total shit show.
It is going to be... Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. This is what we do. We're at least having one correspondent there that is going to anchor.
So,
and, yeah, it's a big event, and there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions.
I have a couple friends in town from Washington, actually, that are actually working the RNC. They've been living up here already for like 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
And a couple of them suggested, they said what you should do, if you're going to be in town, is sign up to volunteer for all of the candidates. I'm like, why would I want to volunteer for any of these candidates? And they go, so you get the credentials to get into the parties and stuff, and then you just go and bail on it. And I was like, oh, that's genius.
I see what's going on. It's an interesting world. Interesting world. Yeah, we have a guy, Blake Wally. He does a lot of our Agree to Disagree shows, and we've covered live events like at Bundy Ranch and the Politicon Convention and United We Stand Festival, and he's definitely on the road in a mobile media center, and his plan is to make it over to both conventions. I think Philadelphia for the Democrats. I think that's where it is, right?
The DNC is in Philly, and the RNC is in Cleveland.
Yeah, Midwest, yo. Rust Belt.
Well, if you decide to come in, let me know. It'd be fun.
Yes, I will. Well, have you decided? Are you Airbnb-ing? You going to Airbnb your job?
I don't know. No, I think I'm just going to keep my apartment. I don't want someone in my sheets and stuff, and I'm kind of a clean freak. I don't need someone messing around with my apartment.
Yeah, it's the whole rental game is a weird one for sure. But yeah, Cleveland gets a chance to show off. It's been a while, so maybe definitely maybe take in a Tribe game, maybe come back. You know, I might even come back sooner if the Cavs win the title, but we'll get to the Cavs in just a second.
There's going to be plenty of hookers here. I mean, it's going to be hookers and politicians for a week.
I'm assuming Blow would also be there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
What else is invading Cleveland? Money is invading Cleveland. So we'll see how it goes, and a lot of protests, I would imagine, because George Soros is funding them. They're paid protests. Hey, we'll give you money. Just go act really angry for all day. Go do that, and we'll pay you. It's insane. So anyway.
Not a bad gig.
Yeah, not a paid agitator. You know, I wonder what that Craigslist ad would look like. Do you constantly get trouble in high school? Are you constantly in and out of the principal's office? I could see that. That'd be awesome. All right, Zach, let's get to some other crazy things. Let's talk about some March Madness. Wow. Where do we begin? We haven't talked in about a week, and we've seen a lot of intriguing basketball.
It's been a good tournament so far. We watched Notre Dame come back last night against Wisconsin. I mean, there have been some crazy, crazy finishes so far in this tournament. One of my old college roommates, we have a group text, obviously, we always said if Arizona made the Final Four, all of us would go meet wherever the Final Four is, and we'd all go. We haven't had that opportunity yet. I mean, granted, I've been to a few of the Final Fours, just Arizona hasn't been in them.
Right.
But it was funny. One of my buddies last night, he's like, wow. He's like, I'm really surprised Oregon's doing so well. And I text back, and I was like, idiot, they're a number 1 seed. I was like, what surprises you? They should win their their bracket. They should win their seed. They should be in the Final Four. A number 1 seed is supposed to make it to the Final Four. Don't be surprised to see a number 1 seed in the Sweet 16.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you look at Michigan State too. That is, there was an argument being made that was the biggest upset in the history of NCAA March Madness.
We witnessed a couple 2 seeds beat 15 seeds. A couple 15s beat 2. I remember there were a few years ago. I don't know, it was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Duke was a 2 seed and they lost. Or was it they were a 2 or a 3 seed and they lost in the first round? It was nuts.
Yeah, it does happen. That's what makes this so interesting, and that's why it makes getting a perfect ticket so impossible.
The part about the tournament is if you take a look at this and you put a lot of these teams against each other, let's just say, for example, Michigan State against a Stephen F. Austin or something like that, a school like that. Michigan State would never lose to them in the regular season, ever. That's what's so cool about the tournament. You have all these small conference teams that make the tournament. They go and they upset these big power schools. And you would never see it happen ever in the regular season, ever.
And you say it would never happen. Why? For what specifically? What reasons?
Because it just never happens. Go take a look in the regular season. Rarely do big powerhouse teams get upset like that in the regular season by teams outside of their own conference.
Well, what was that one? Was that a couple years ago? Michigan football. They lost to, what was it?
Appalachian State.
Appalachian State.
But college football is completely different.
No, but even in college football, it's very rare in college football, and it's only become something you're used to seeing from time to time in the past 10 years. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you never saw that because the recruiting was so lopsided. That has balanced out a lot in NCAA.
Everything's changed nowadays with social
football.
Media, the power. Don't forget too. It's amazing what Nike's been able to do in terms of branding. Don't forget, as soon as Michigan switched to Adidas, they haven't been a powerhouse since. Kids like to go where – no, I'm not kidding.
I know. We've talked about it before.
When I say that, the Nike schools, if you look at it, Nike schools always attract the top talent. Look at all the powerhouses. Look at Alabama, Ohio State. Look at Michigan State has taken over Michigan in the Big Ten as being a Nike school. Michigan finally is now back to Jumpman. They're the first Jordan-branded team in college football. Trust me, that's going to help with recruiting big time.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is going to help too. That team seems like it's.
Harbaugh made some erroneous comments last week. Just so stupid, taking a shot at Gene Smith.
Well, look, Harbaugh is going to be there poking you. Harbaugh is going to be there poking you in your chest. That's what Harbaugh does.
They won a national championship since that. They won the year after. They won the year after the scandal. The first year they could, they were eligible. They won it.
Yeah, too bad we couldn't keep that crew.
2 years later, they won.
Right.
And then they went and beat the crap out of Michigan again. Where do you get up? You just got your asses kicked in your home stadium, 42-13. You have no right to trash talk. Here's the thing: if he would have went out and beaten Ohio State, give him all the props in the world, he can go out and say whatever he wants. But he didn't. He got his ass kicked. Don't open your mouth.
Yeah.
That's like going and kicking your ass and then afterwards saying, "I beat you up." Or you're a loser.
But we know that's who Jim Harbaugh is. He's just standing there poking you in your chest. He's challenging you to do something about it. He's a bully. It's why things didn't work out with him over in the San Francisco. But he's also invigorating a team that's been so lousy for so long. For so many years, Michigan has been a joke. He is turning some of that around, but hey, what a weird day. You got me started off not defending, I'm just describing. I guess I'm not defending. There's nothing to defend. Jim Harbaugh is who he is, and you're right. Until he actually accomplishes something, he should might want to consider shutting up. Yeah.
He always loses in the big game. He's never won anything.
Well, how much of that, let me get back to NCAA, how much of Middle Tennessee knocking off Michigan State is the fact that it is the big game and all of the nerves and all of the pressure and all of the extra spotlights change people?
That's exactly what it is. It's the travel time. It's, it's the traveling. It's, being out of your element, being in a city you're not normally in, it's weird having the fans there, having the stands 50% full because always the team with the later game never shows up. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to the NCAA tournament before. I assume you have. I think you were at the Ohio State one a couple of years ago.
No, you know what? I'll tell you what. No, you and we almost did that. I think you had something with Arizona. You had an extra. We were talking about it and we weren't able to make it work.
Yeah, I had extra tickets I was selling basically just around face value.
Yeah, I know, Mike.
I got extra ones from the LaSalle box office. Told them I was an alumni. I told my wife was an alumni, and it worked just about every year. So,
that's epic.
They were great seats. They
Yeah,
were literally right behind the bench. But,
yeah. My cousin tells this story. I think it might have been Indianapolis. I believe it was the Final Four. When was that in Indy? Do you remember, Zach?
It was in Indy.
A couple of years ago, 1 year ago, something like that. Whatever year that was.
It may have been last year.
It might have been last year, actually. But yeah, anyway, my cousin tells this story about how he got floor seats.
I can tell you the first 3 years when I was in LA, it was in Houston, New Orleans, and then Atlanta, because those are the 3 years I lived in LA, and those are the 3 years I was there.
Okay. Yeah, I have never been to. I've never been. So at the NCAA tournament, it's very interesting. When you're at the Sweet 16 or the first round, 64-32 in Sweet 16. So what they do is they sell the tickets basically to the 4 schools that are there. And so you'll have, let's just say it's Kentucky, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Arizona. Each section gets 25% of the tickets. They allocate 25%. So let's say it's Kentucky versus Notre Dame in a round. That means Ohio State and Arizona fans, why are they going to show up to that game? They don't care. They have the tickets because it's a play-in. It's the same ticket for both games. So a lot of those people want to go drink beforehand, so they don't show up until midway through late through the first half, or through the second half. So it's a virtually empty game. The NCAA really needs to redo its ticket. How would you redo it? That is interesting because there's got to be a lot more people and energy for that second game.
Each, and then clear out the stadium and then bring in the next round of people. That's what I would do. But I guess for time constraints, they can't do it.
Yeah, I mean that's tricky.
Why they don't do it.
Yeah,
but
that's tricky.
It would make more sense.
Yeah, or if you split it up in a way where the brackets were split up in different cities. And they would they'd end up meeting together when they needed to, but the games would just be staggered. So that, different cities would have different times and different big games.
It's difficult. With a team like Arizona who lost in the first round, they went all the way out to Providence. I'm not saying, so did Gonzaga too, but...
Yeah.
Traveling literally 3,000 miles away, the time change will knock a team off its balance,
So put it together.
I think the best teams are left.
Well, so put it together. What's a good proposal we could try? Since it might be pretty tough to clear the place out.
I just don't know how you would do it basically with the ticket allocation. I mean, basically what you would do is you make 2 tickets to allow people to go to part of the first game, exit the stadium, and then come back for the second game. You still have to allow people, let's say, from Ohio State or Arizona to sell their tickets to a Kentucky fan or a Notre Dame fan.
Okay, okay. I hadn't considered that. And
it's the same thing with the Final Four. It's always more expensive to go to the first Final Four game than it is to the championship. Because don't forget, 50% of those people who are at that game don't want to go to the finals because their team has been knocked out. So they're selling their tickets. That's why you can always get tickets dirt cheap to the final. Final Four game is always super expensive. You're really getting upwards of $800 to $1,000 a ticket most of the time. For the final game, you could sit lower deck for $200.
It makes a lot of sense. I get what you're saying. It makes a heck of a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to sit around for another game. If you know,
if your team just got knocked off, would you want to sit there for another game?
No, I'm kind of over it for the day. I kind of want to go home and lick my wounds. I would probably feel a little upset if I was that dedicated that I decided to spend that much money to go to such a big event and end up disappointed.
Exactly, you're gonna be a little pissed off. So you're gonna want to go home, and that's what happens. So. Being at a bunch of NCAA tournament games and being at the Final Four, I've seen it happen a lot of times, and that's just what happens. But talking about that now, move on to the Cavs.
Oh, no. We'll move on to the Cavs in a second, but I just kind of want to buzz through who we got left. We've narrowed this down quite a bit. I wonder if we could kind of make some revisions on what we're seeing with UNC Indiana, Wisconsin Notre Dame. Buzz through that before we switch, if that's all right.
Okay.
All right. I guess let's start there. Let's start there. Tar Heels, Hoosiers.
Obviously, North Carolina's so good. They really are. Pick North Carolina to go to the Final Four. Obviously, I think they're going to be in the Final Four.
Notre Dame, Wisconsin, the 6 and 7.
That was a great game last night. It really was. That was a great game. I can't believe Notre Dame coming back from that one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
in Indiana, Tom Crean can't get past the Sweet 16. By the way, that was I wonder how long the shelf is in Indiana. I really do.
Yeah, remember John Cooper with the Buckeyes football? I'll just keep going back to NCAA football because I've spent more time watching that.
Cooper couldn't beat Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, Cooper could not win the big games, and he had to go. He'd have great seasons. He'd have teams that are ranked in the top 5, even number 1. And when it came down to the big Michigan State or Michigan or playoff game or championship, he just couldn't do it. The big bowl games, he couldn't get it done when it counted. That's a bright light situation again. How about over in the Midwest? How about Syracuse, Gonzaga?
Syracuse moving on to the Elite Eight. They were a 10 seed. Syracuse barely made it into the tournament.
And they had to go up against a hot Middle Tennessee, too.
I give Syracuse some credit. They're playing well. They've also, they also got Middle Tennessee instead of Michigan State.
Big difference.
They got Gonzaga instead of Arizona. Their road to the Elite Eight so far hasn't been extremely difficult.
Right. It's going to be good. What about Iowa State?
Iowa State got knocked off their rockers last night, too.
And then Virginia.
I love Virginia. I love Tony Bennett, Virginia. I've been talking about Tony Bennett for a long time. Again, since he was at Washington State. He had Klay Thompson at Washington State. The guy's a hell of a coach. He took Washington State's program to the gutter. You never even heard of Washington State basketball before he got there.
How much Klay Thompson success do you attribute to the coaching?
I think a lot of it's coaching. I think Klay Thompson's an excellent player, but don't forget, we've seen players that are busts all the time in programs, and, I'm talking collegiate and NBA, that just aren't properly coached. We've witnessed it in the NFL. Look at the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just randomly selecting busts every year? No, it's because they don't know how to develop talent. That's what happens with poor coaching. And you witness these good teams every year that wind up taking a guy at 31 overall, 32. The guy turns into a Pro Bowler, and the guy at number 1 or 2, who's a super stud, doesn't turn into anything. Because bad teams don't develop their talent. Bad coaches don't develop their talent. You don't maximize your effort out of your players.
And look at Ohio State. Look at the Buckeyes this year. How many players are they anticipating are going to get picked in the first and second rounds from the Buckeyes?
It could be upwards of 8 or 9 in the first round. I think it's going to be more like 6 to 7, but it's insane.
And that is Urban Meyer coached players, Urban Meyer recruited players.
That's what good coaches do. Look at Urban at Florida. Look at the talent he developed at Florida.
Yeah, NFL-ready players. You'll think of Tebow, but trust me.
I'm thinking of guys like Joe Hayden, Carlos Dunlap. I'm going to bring it up, Aaron Hernandez, the Pouncey twins. He developed some ridiculous talent at Florida State. At Florida, University of Florida. He developed some ridiculous talent. Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. He's developed some ridiculous talent there. Even Bobby Bowden, even towards the end, but Bobby Bowden, if you look at Florida State's been a powerhouse producing NFL players for years, too. Same with Miami. Look at Miami under Butch Davis in the beginning years of Larry Coker.
Oh, yeah, that was a crazy couple years of talent. What was that? Was it Sean Taylor? Kellen Winslow?
I could go on. Jonathan Goma, Sean Taylor. Those teams, Andre Johnson, Jeremy Shockey. You just look at it and you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Willis McGahee. I mean, they were just Frank Gore. They were just producing talent left and right. Philip Buchanan. I mean, their whole team, it seemed like, was a first-round pick.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. I want to get to the Browns and kind of get an idea of what you're thinking about the moves they're making. But let's knock out the West first. Oklahoma moves past A&M. What'd you think there?
Again, Buddy Hield, can't stop him. He's the best scorer in college basketball. I mean, that's why Oklahoma's running as far as they are, because of Buddy Hield.
Oregon moves on.
Not surprised there. They're a number 1 seed. They beat Duke. Duke's never made it past the Sweet 16 when they've been a 4 seed or below.
Oh, interesting stat. So when they're really good, they're good, but when they're okay, it's not okay
Yep.
enough. All right, so what do you see? Sooners and Ducks.
I actually like Oklahoma.
Yeah? All
Yeah.
right. Just the
I
scoring
picked Oklahoma
ability.
to go to the Final Four. I like Oklahoma.
All right. Miami goes down pretty convincingly to Villanova.
Villanova, that was one of the best first halves I've ever watched.
What made it so good?
Each team made almost every single three. They shot like 70% from 3 combined. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool game. When Villanova scores like that, they are tough to bring down.
Now, would you say they're very similar to Golden State that way?
They looked like it in that game, but when any team scores like that, you're not going to lose. And Villanova can shoot the basketball.
Right. But, the high-risk, high-reward three-point shooting teams, it's feast or famine sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Warriors. They have their off nights and they look really, really, really bad. Granted, it doesn't happen often, but it happens.
All right. Kansas moves on, another 1 seed.
Again, I've got Kansas winning the whole thing. That hasn't changed.
Then so be it. What's impressed you about Kansas so far?
I mean, I like Perry Ellis. I mean, he's been around. It seems like he's been around forever. I mean, Kansas is they're just the most talented team in the tournament.
There you go.
Their ball movement, their defense, everything about them screams that they're going to win it all. Unless they have a bad game, but I just don't see it happening.
All right. Well, then let's do this. Let's kind of shift gears. Let's talk a little bit. You want to go Cavs or Browns?
Let's talk Cavs first since we're on basketball.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody, if you're not following Zach on Twitter, he's at Zbaris. That's ZBARIS. Check it out. Make sure you check out our show. Subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. And then all of our links to our live show, our Twitter feed, and our Facebook page, they're at thenewamericanmedia.com. We'll be right back on the other side talking some Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
And this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the newamericanmedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. There are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. What doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.